Welcome again to the Advanced Man Career Doctor live office hours where I come to you most Fridays at 10 o'clock Australian Sydney time to answer your questions about the medical careers process in Australia, whether you're an international medical graduate or a local medical student or a doctor here in Australia, trainee consultant, what have you. I'm here to help you out. Once again, we'll go through some YouTube questions and we might learn something from that process. Um, we are broadcasting to YouTube, Facebook, and LinkedIn. There is the opportunity, if you're watching me live, to come in and comment or ask a question, and I'll try and keep an eye on that for you. Um, so, as per usual, we'll have a look at some of the questions on YouTube, and we might sort of divert over to some other things as we go through. I'm just going to check that everything is working on the YouTube side and um, bring that up in case there's a comment on LinkedIn. Yeah. All right. So yeah, if you're watching, hello, and feel free to put a comment in the chat, Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, whatever. I can cope with all. So let's see, how many questions do we have to answer here? And it's not looking too bad. I think we're getting up to date. So that one's just glad it was helpful. I might just refresh this in case I'm missing a few comments. Uh, Thought I was a little bit further behind than 3 weeks, but I'm glad I'm 3 weeks up to date. Um, that one's responding to Dr. Beck. um, or is it responding to me? I think they're responding to me. There is a Dr. Beck in Australia who does coaching, who I do know. Okay, Andrew Russell. I hope you're well. I'm a regular viewer of yours. I truly appreciate the valuable career advice. Your insights on managing careers are incredibly helpful. What are your plans for your YouTube channel? How far do you want to take your channel? Okay, I think this is a marketing suspect. This is a clever marketing question, not in the market for additional help for my channel at this point in time. Thanks. Yeah, it's interesting. I've had a couple of people saying, "Oh, what's happening with your content?" One of the reasons I decided to try and do a regular office hours is to try and keep up some regular content for you guys. About a couple of years ago, I stopped trying to post one video a week. It was just burning me out. Don't want to post just for the sake of it. I try and put up blog posts and YouTube content as I can. I have a bit of a plan through the year, but I'm currently quite busy, partly working part time for my own college, the College of Psychiatrists. And this is the time of year where I've got lots of people actually working with me for coaching, which takes up a lot of my spare time. Um, so maybe towards the back end of the year, I'll be able to publish a bit more regular content again. Very keen to hear what sort of things you guys would like me to video about. So if you've got a suggestion for that, you can also put that in the chat as well. And hello to those watching me on YouTube at the moment. Again, if you've got a question or comment, feel free to put it in the YouTube comment section. Um, okay. Where to start doing CPD courses online? Well, that's probably worthy of a video at some point, I guess. But uh, hello. Thanks for the question. Um, this video highlights the difference between CME and CPD. So some parts of CPD are not done online. If you are looking for online learning, then most of the specialty colleges in Australia have uh, learning management systems. Some of the new CPD homes do, others are um, more bare bones and just a way of recording your activities. Um, it's probably a good point to sort of remind ourselves of the CPD homes, medical board. So we're going to switch the screen twice with maybe that one. Yeah. So if you go to the medical board website, read all about CPD homes. Um, First thing is, if you're not working in Australia, you don't need to be part of a CPD home. So if you're an international doctor trying to get here, this does not affect you until you actually start being registered and working here. You just need to show evidence of doing some sort of CPD or whatever the requirement is in your home country generally. Okay, and Australia has a fairly sophisticated approach to continuing professional development. But once you're registered, you must join a CPD home. Okay. Um, your CPD home may be able to grant you some exemptions. Um, uh, if you're an intern or a PGY2 doctor in a pre-vocational program, you don't need to join a CPD home. And that's because your training is covered by that pre-vocational program and you're being supervised. And then there's a few other cases, but everyone else, specialist trainees, automatically, I guess they're not may technically not be in a CPD home, but by being with a college, which is a CPD home, they meet their CPD requirements through training, as do ones going to the specialist pathway because they're on a plan. Okay. And then we have a number of accredited CPD homes now. And interestingly, obviously the existing ones are the college ones, and they are starting to open up their CPD program to other doctors. Um, and um, and then we've got a number of new ones. Most of these are private entities. The AMO in Western Australia set up a CPD home. There's CPD Australia, Osler, and Skin Cancer Australasia. I thought there might be even a couple more new ones. Is this the one that's the this might be the new one. Yeah, this was the new one that was set up by a couple of registrars. So maybe that is the current list. And then the Skin Cancer College of Australasia. And HEDI is the Health Education Training in New South Wales, which I used to be the medical director for. So I've got quite an extensive learning portfolio, management portfolio, which actually lots of doctors don't in New South Wales don't take advantage of, and they should. So they've set up a CPD home. So these are your options. And within the CPD home, you need to do a certain number of points every year. So 50 hours of CPD each year, of which 25 must be from these more difficult to collect points, measuring outcomes and reviewing performance. And then the other things can be traditional learning activities or from any category. So you can do more measuring performance and more, reviewing performance and more measuring outcomes. And the CPD homes kind of determine what reviewing performance is and what measuring outcomes is, but within a framework set by the medical board. So for me, for example, I get my reviewing performance hours up by doing a monthly peer review group. Okay. I get my measuring outcomes from other sorts of activities where I'm reviewing the quality of the work that I'm involved in. All right. Um, so some of it obviously is, could be learning online and doing courses online, or attending conferences online, but some of it obviously needs to be more active and partly outside of the online environment. Okay. Um, so you're going to courses where you actually learn how to do a skill and you get evaluated on it. Will normally fit under the more the measuring outcomes category, for example. Um, cool. Let's go back to the questions then. Just check if I've got any questions in the chat. If you do have a question, whack it in the chat. Happy to try and help you. What do we got? Just refresh this again. The top. So, question about which specialties are harder to get into in Australia. There is not a great some information about this in various sources, but no single source to go to. We don't. Some of the colleges will publish competition ratios and things like that, but it's not like in the UK, US, where we've got lots of good statistics to look at. Um, um, Area of need is largely. I do need to do an update video about this, because area of need is largely non-existent now. Orthopedics, which you mentioned, is difficult to get into for both training as well as for synergies, as are most of the other surgical specialties. I don't think I've specifically ever done a video or post on what are the harder specialties versus the easier ones, partly because there's not one single source to go and look at. But I could certainly share my experience, and there are, some I would put in the difficult category, and some I would put in the medium category, and some I would put in the easier category. But like everything, it's kind of nuanced. Dr. Sandeep Shakya, hello. I've completed an MD in pediatrics from China over a period of 34 months. I'm not sure I needed to know the exact dates there, but thank you. I've been practicing as a consultant pediatrician for the past 6 years in a tertiary government hospital in Nepal. Um, so eligibility, well, hi, I would encourage you to go through the other, yep, videos, this series. Eligibility to apply is based on whether you have qualified in a specialty in your country. So yes, you're able to apply. However, the period of your training is quite short, and this may be a barrier. Like everything, hard to comment on people's personal circumstances on a Q&A in the forum. So you may be interested in booking a strategy call with me. However, my strategy calls are booked out till June this year because I'm quite busy with coaching. Hello to those watching on YouTube and Facebook. If you've got a question about the medical careers process in Australia, please feel free to pop it in the chat. Also, if you're watching on LinkedIn as well, you can put a question there in the comments too. Let's maybe refresh again and go to the bottom. Okay. Great video. I'm an IMG with interest in orthopedic surgery residency. I've been considering taking the MRC AEST exam. Is there a viable pathway from that point to getting in Australia, or do you think there is a better pathway? Um, so, um, uh, unlike in the UK, the specialty colleges sell their exams to international doctors. Um, this is not the case in Australia and New Zealand. Just completing an MRCS is meaningless here. The qualification you would need to be eligible to apply for specialist pathway is called the completion, so the certificate completion of training. So the ruling here is that you need the qualification, as I said in the previous answer to the previous question, you need the qualification in your own country that entitles you to be a specialist. Okay. Completing the college exams in the UK does not entitle you to be a specialist there in that specialty. It is an entry. It provides an entry point for you then getting registered and working in that specialty in the UK. However, that doesn't help you here with either being a specialist or coming in for training because we don't count that towards competent authority pathway or specialist pathway. So it's unless you've got a pathway at actually completing training in the UK, then it's pointless doing those exams. And I've seen lots of people do those exams and think that they should matter. It's just an exam. It's not a training program. And that's what we're looking at. Have you been trained as a specialist in your own country? Question here from Harsiman, Harsimran. Have I got that right? Um, am I able to comment on the intern match 2025 or the 2026 intake? Yes, I can comment on it. That's a fairly broad question. What questions do you have about the intern? And it's not the match. Well, actually, the Postgraduate Medical Council of Victoria does call it the match. That's true, but it's not called the match yet anywhere else in Australia. It's called the annual intern recruitment process generally. Um, I have started pulling together my post for internship this year. As I said earlier on, um, I've been quite busy with the other stuff, so I'm a little bit behind on stuff. Um, so it will look similar to. I'll just show you. Um, um, I've got to replace this one. Okay, so it looks similar to this, and you can certainly this will probably answer a fair few of your questions. Why that keeps snapping back down? Mm, okay, for some reason this post keeps jumping up and down. Something to do with the screen share, but anyway, I do have a guide on my blog site, and there will be an updated one for 2026. Hopefully, not too far away because applications are in May. Um, uh, so your questions about personal circumstances, just bear in mind you're on a public forum here, Azimran. So I don't know. I don't want to know your personal circumstances in this forum. Um, uh, so Oh, okay. So your individual circumstances, I get you. I thought you had like a special consideration here. Um, so your question is, if I want a position in Victoria, should I apply via the VRPA? And you happen to be a Category 3 here. I'm a Queensland student. Um, so let's get the maybe PMC doesn't have it. Oh no, it does. Okay. So I'm just going to switch over to the PMCV website. So Victoria is it's a, geographically it's not a big state, but it's the second largest state by population in Australia, and therefore has the second largest number of internships. I think they're verging on 1,000 this year, not quite there. So your question is about you're a Category 3 from Queensland and whether you should do the rural or not. Um, and let's see if we can find the categories here. It might be on a match. Oops, let's see. So there's the guideline for Victorian rural. I think it's under here. Eligibility criteria. So you're in Group 3, Australian citizen or permanent resident, graduating from an interstate or New Zealand university. Um, um, and so the general way it ranks is each state looks after its own students first. Then some states like New South Wales and Queensland will look after students from local students, Australian students from other states. Queensland instead tends to look after. Well, they changed it this time around. Oh no, they actually have changed it. Okay, so I know that's the VRPA. Yeah, so they look after their temporary residents as at the same time as ones from other states. So there's a bit of controversy around how each state does it, but the general principle is that we're providing enough internships around the country for everyone who's graduating. The numbers available have outmatched the numbers coming through for the last few years. And it's more complicated because they have eligibility groups for both the rural pathway and the general pathway. Um, so yeah, look, I mean, basically, let me reply to this. Um, I mean, if you know, are looking to guarantee a move back to Victoria, then opting for the rural pathway will um, provide you greater confidence. Um, but you know, you need to actually be happy working in a rural centre. So hopefully that helps you out. You know, in general, if particularly for excuse me, international students, um, the rural pathway is a really good option. But again, you have to. It's going to allow you to go ahead in terms of um, getting an offer. Generally, if you're going rural pathway in whatever state, you're I'm not aware of any situation where the numbers for the rural pathways, in terms of interest, have been more than the number of positions available. For example, um, in um, in New South Wales, every year the rural internship numbers go up, and every year the people applying go up, but there's always a bit of a gap. So that's usually filled by then other interns and residents rotating from um, city networks out to the country for a term or two. Um, so largely speaking, if you go for the rural pathways, you're pretty much going to be guaranteed to get a position, unless you say only want to go to one particular hospital, and that tends to be oversubscribed that year. If you don't, if you apply, if you don't like rank all of them, there is a risk that you miss out. But then you will go because you haven't been given an offer. You'll go into the main round at that point. The other beauty of going for rural is that the we should have our dates somewhere um, somewhere here, I think. Um, uh, application maybe. No, it's on the Heady website, but I want to stick here. Intern interviews, intern applications. It's May to June. I just forget the actual dates. Maybe it was actually back here. Here we go, dates, key dates, that's what it was after. So I'll open 6th of May and it'll end 8th of June. And then there'll be, the rules have to have an interview process. And then this is the first date around the country that offers are put out. So all the rural and Aboriginal and other pathways that are done early are done on the 14th, that Monday, and then the first lot of main round offers come out. So you will get your intern offer generally on the 14th of July. And as opposed to the main round offers, there's actually usually, I think we're having 3 this year, it doesn't say, but there'll be 3 rounds. So if you just go for the main round, you may be waiting till like September or even later to be given an offer. So the other thing is you know where you're going early and you can plan around it, is the point there. Um, And I did notice that there was some match information here, which is probably would be good to do a video on. Probably I can look at that in the heady info as well. So this is the data from the uh, last year, and you can see here. How we can interpret that. There are VR 108 VRPA category ones, and all offers were made to them, as were for category two. Doesn't say what happened to category three here. Um, and actually, they had more applicants to offers. That was the total number they had available to start. They actually went down last year numbers. Um, yeah, it doesn't tell us about those who are in category three, unfortunately, but permanent resident Australian, that should be in citizen as well. Year 12 Victoria. Okay, that might not be you. Permanent resident Australian trained interstate. 111 applications and 20 offers made. So it does look like some interstate people missed out last year for Victoria. And it does kind of look like maybe they didn't go to category three. So yeah, hard to know, but definitely you would improve your chances by going for the rural pathway, I think. Um, yeah, look, it doesn't say there, Arsenal. I know in previous years they were a bit undersubscribed. Um, yeah, I get that you want to try and play it safe. Yeah. Um, cool. Um, that's the only data they have. I wonder if we've got. I'm just having a look, having a Google to see if they've got their yeah, their 2024 report still available. I don't see it on Google. If anyone knows where it is, I'm happy to have a look at it. I think I may have found it. Okay, let's have a look at the 2023 one. I'll just flick over to that. Oh, I see. I don't. I think they brought. I don't know when they brought in the category three. So maybe that was. Um, yeah, I forget when they go into the category priority group three for VRPA as well. That might have been last year. Or might just be this year. So they had 1,182 candidates last year. Um, and 957. This is a bit more detailed report. 957 allocated, but this is interesting because they actually had 973 jobs, is what I was saying. So sometimes when people get given an offer, they then withdraw later and take up an offer somewhere else. And so, and you can see the number of declines here. So 111 minus 154 should equal 957. I don't know what happened to the other lot there. So some often candidates will find jobs elsewhere, but they still remain in the pool. So again, there were quite a few declines that year. 23 we're talking about for both categories, more for the category two. Um, and so they made a combined offer to that group of 138. And I don't think it tells us how many RPR. Oh, they do actually. Yeah, so there were okay. So there were 220 rural pathway positions, and at the end of the day, only 138 who directly applied for that took them up. So that would suggest to me that there's spare capacity if you go via that pathway. I'll just have a quick look back at the more recent table to see if I can figure that out. I just don't think it doesn't give us as much information, unfortunately. No, that's not what I'm after. After to match data 2024. That's what I'm after. Yeah, so it doesn't give us the number of. Oh, actually, it does. Okay, it's 197 rural round positions, and well, they only tell us how many offers were made. 100. Okay, well, yeah, 154, and there were 197. So okay, that gives me much more confidence, giving you more confidence that if you apply for rural, um, there should be some spare capacity for you, and you should very likely get a first round offer from rural, with the only caveat being, as I said, you should try and preference all the rural hospitals if that's your plan. So hopefully that helps you out. Good question. Um, okay, so let's go back to the YouTube questions. Again, anyone watching, feel free to ask me a question. Um, um, Untitled Project 9356, um, asking me on a previous um, live video, or replay, I guess. Uh, Hi, Dr. Anthony. Can you tell me if I'm understanding the process correctly? As a freshly bagged international medical graduate, I have to pass AMC1. After that, it's better to go for the workplace assessment instead of the clinical. After clearing that, getting a job offer as a JMO, I work for 2 years and get a permanent residency. I can then get into specialist training. I'd like to work as a GP since anesthesia is too hard. Um, so, hi. Thanks for the question. I'd recommend doing my standard pathway free course. Some of what you said is in the wrong order, but you are largely on track. Um, yeah, thanks, Hassan. I'm glad to help you out today. Um, so let's just go over to my coaching website. So I have some free courses for IMGs. The standard pathway course is here, and it takes you through the process of um, applying for and um, obtaining a job in Australia. Um, um, and so I probably need to do a video about. I probably do have one about workplace-based assessment versus um, the part two exams. But essentially, once you've got your AMC part one, you can apply for jobs, and I recommend doing it that way rather than waiting to get your clinical. You cannot do the workplace-based assessment unless you've already got a job. So that was the thing that you've got out of order there. But that's the course, which is free for people to enroll in. Question from Sula Fajro. I hope I got that right. So wondering if any doctor applied on the expedited specialist pathway if their CSR is issued from the British was accepted. Thanks for the question. CSRs are not accepted. It has to be the CCT, at least for all the specialties currently listed for expedited pathway. And you can actually find this out for yourself if you go to the medical board website. So if we go to registration, IMGs, expedited pathway, who's eligible. This is the current list that have been done, and this is a list that they're looking at. Go to the accepted qualifications list here. Ireland, CSCT. You're asking about the UK anyway. Completion of certificate of completion of training. Okay. Um, uh, General practice, Ireland. Completion of specialist training. Okay. Oh, actually, okay. Well, that one's that's not the CSCSR. Sorry, I'm looking at the Irish one again. Where's the UK? CCT again. Okay. Um, Obstetrics, CCT. Okay. Psychiatry, CCT. So it doesn't specifically say that the CESR is not counted, but it has to be the CCT. They're not allowing you to go via the lateral pathway. So if you're on the, well, I can tell you, if you've got the CESR, especially from the UK, generally that means if you go via the specialist pathway, um, then you'll have a reasonably good prospect. Okay. We might get them all knocked off by the end of today. Hi, I'm from Pakistan, graduated from Kyrgyzstan in 27, and I moved to Pakistan. Can I apply for internship with that agency or any other exam? No. Um, Thank you for your excellent guidance. You are very welcome. Okay, I think I've already answered that question. I You cannot apply for the WBA unless you are actually working. You can apply for jobs after passing and see part one. There is a good guide to questions about immigration on my website. Just press that. Cool. I will have to think about other things to do on office hours then, looks like, because I don't anticipate I'll have a heap of questions for next time. Next time probably won't be next week. But yeah, if you do have any suggestions, things I should be covering, hopefully I might have my intern post out by then. We can maybe go through that a little bit. Um, yeah. All right. Well, thank you everyone for joining me today. It's been great to have some company along the way. Thanks for the questions, Hassamran. And I might end it there and wish you a good weekend. Bye for now. See ya.